Good morning everyone, I'm that dude over there, and Awakening was my first real Fire Emblem game. That's right, as I stated many times before, I was an Awakening baby. But through Awakening, I was able to see the full lore that Fire Emblem held as a whole. And while I still respect and hold Awakening close to my chest, I'll admit that it's a baby game meant for beginners, and not those who chug Thracia runs for breakfast. I mean, unless you're playing Lunatic Plus, but nobody plays Lunatic Plus. Today, we're going to do the easiest run in the world, and play Awakening with 5 units. Will we be able to complete the game in 5 hours, or will it take 15? Let's take a watch, shall we? Before we hop into discussing the units, I want to make one thing clear. Across the 3DS titles, I will not be using DLC if I don't have to. While DLC makes the game easier, it's not really a challenge if I can just press the easy win button. So I think it should only be applicable if I hit a wall I can't naturally surpass, or if I run into an unwinnable front. Think of it like a check system, you know? If I can win without DLC, that's a check. If I need DLC, that's a check minus. But if I can't beat it even with DLC, then that's a fail. But hey, most of the 3DS titles aren't too nasty, so we shouldn't come to that, right? Alright then, let's jump into the 5 units. And this time, the Lord isn't mandatory. While Chrom is auto-deployed, there is nothing he can do that no one else can do. But that being said, Chrom is still one of our 5 units. I don't care if he can use bows for 2 of his 5 class options upon promotion, because Chrom is surprisingly good. He has a free iron sword that doesn't break in Falchion, and has access to Aether through the Lord class, and decent mobility options when reclassing. Robin is next, and here I have to be clear what gender Robin is. While I could say male Robin because I want to exist in all the Avatar titles, I go with female Robin. We all know why this is. Robin is already a very busted unit since they can access every class in the game. So by making them female, we get access to Gale Force over Wrath. On top of that, since Chrom needs a wife, we can use our skills to pass down to our 3rd and 4th units, Lucina and Morgan. Lucina, built like this, is taking all the best parts of Chrom and mashing it with all the best parts of Robin, skill-wise of course, having access to Aether, Veteran, and Gale Force should I want to pass it down. And Morgan, while unable to get Aether or the Lord line, still gets rightful king, making all of his skills have a higher chance to pop off. And since this is all one family, everyone can support each other to A rank, minus Chrom and Robin, who will have an S rank obviously. With all these supports going around, our last unit should be someone who can support with both Chrom and Robin, since the child units can only support other child units. And I decided not to do that. Instead I chose Donald. Are you really surprised? I used Edward and Soth in Talius and tried to put Chad in my team in Binding Blade. Donald is like a weed. He can easily be removed if caught early, but if he sticks around, he's not leaving the battlefield. With his naturally high luck stat and access to Arm Thrift, he basically never has to worry about weapon durability. And with all that being said, let's begin. Starting with Premonition. Okay, so while this chapter is the shortest, it allows me to explain some things while nothing really happens. For one, we're playing hard since Awakening Normal is way too easy. Second, we create that girl over there that's plus defense minus luck, since Chrom will benefit from the bulk, and T-Got will appreciate the speed from Chrom. Prologue. After getting saved by the shepherds, we provide our full support to helping Chrom and becoming his wife. Pairing up will only put more problems on the one, especially when we don't have supports yet to break the game. This chapter takes forever to get off the ground. We end up burning so many vulneraries on the first map, and suffer our first game over because of a crit against a boss. I should have done minus skill, god damn it. We suffer 2 more losses, a reset when positioning, because activating dual guard counts as something. All of this before I finally clear the map, unable to actually get Lissa or Frederick killed yet, and thus the girl finally joins the shepherds. Chapter 1. In Chapter 1, Marth comes to save Lissa from being picked apart like a delicate flower. However, Marth seems different. He doesn't have his best friend at his side. You know, Alear from the hit game Fire Emblem Engage. Those two are just such great friends. Anyway, this chapter consists of support building between the girl and Chrom. When Virion and Sully arrive, I'm not worried about their positioning when throwing away their items. Chrom and the lady protect each other, so I don't have to worry about Sully or Virion doing anything. Our new allies die, and by the time the chapter ends, we are left with the 4 original shepherds. We finally unlock the sea support for our woman and Chrom as we enter the kingdom we're fighting for. I did my best to reread the Robin supports, but old habits die hard and skip over it for the shiny sea. Chapter 2. Starting Chapter 2, we meet some new bodies to throw in the chipper and enter another stage to kill off more allies. We use the fort to restore Chrom and the girl's HP since we're running low on vulneraries, and kill off 2 more allies and stall on Bike. Teach will never make it to tenure. Sumiya gets teased at the end of the chapter, alluding to who dies next. Chapter 3. Chapter 3 has us visit Ferox for assistance, but they do not believe us.
Hello, hi, can I speak to the East, Mom? Be gone, fake royalty cunts! I got the brand of the Exalt right fucking here, you wanna see it? No, bitch!
Sumiya saves Chrom, but this action results in her immediate execution. Nobody can touch Chrom except for the woman by his side. What, she's a yandere? Why else would she be forcing her allies to get sacked off except Chrom? After she finally awakens to the idea of pair-up, despite using it in prior chapters, Chrom and his woman defeat, but not kill, the woman in charge of defending the fort. With the chapter done, we unlock the B support for Chrom and Tagat, and unlock the Avatar Logbook and Renown Awards. We don't have anything because new save file who this. We could hypothetically create a bunch of Robins to join the army because technically they're all Robin and Robin is one of the 5 units in the army, but that's cheap and takes up way too much time to do something that won't get any supports. Instead, we move on to the next chapter in order to recruit our next unit. Paralog, Sickle to Sword. So out of all our characters, Donald is the hardest to unlock. Donald needs to get 1 level up in his chapter to join the Shepherds, and Donald isn't strong yet. But it's important to get him early so he can be made into something for the late game. But I make sure Donald is well prepared for this by buying defense and strength tonics before starting the chapter. Our first attempt fails when Donald gets overwhelmed by various foes ganging up on him, and this becomes a reoccurring issue. Donald being ganged up by tough foes and being silenced somewhere in the early turns of the map. After like 3 resets, we finally get a run off the ground, but lose the Killer Lance along the way. A small price to pay to keep our future ally on the team. You may be asking why the lady keeps Donald in her and Chrom's life if she's a yandere. Well, the answer is simple. Donald is just not a threat. Who would Chrom believe more if the two came into a fight, right? The peasant who he can't support with, who needs their aid to grow into a powerful warrior, or the woman who can achieve an S support with him and has access to every class in the game, asterisk. Donald is there to support the royal family and to be bent to their whims like the weed that he is. Okay, I have to shut off dark mode and go touch some grass after this. Anyway, we secure the rescue staff and give Donald a few more kills before killing the boss. Donald ends up joining the group, and as we head to Arena Ferox, we get visited by traveling Anna. These girls are the best and offer the finest gear one could ask. This one in specific holding a second seal, the best thing for Robin in the early game. However, we decide to hold on to it for now. There are 2 classes I'm fighting between in my head for Robin. We need to get her into Darkfire for inheritance purposes, but we also need Thief for utility. Regardless, for the time being, we hold off on using it. Chapter 4. Marth returns without Alear again, which makes me think that this isn't the real Marth. Chrom and Marth do a fancy duel with identical weapons, which is not at all suspicious since there are multiple falchions in the world of Fire Emblem. And Donald seems to work a lot harder than before on his joining chapter. He must have gotten a surge of defense and strength since his last fight. In any case, he does a good job luring in Marth for Chrom to get the kill. With Feroxy's support, we now have to go rescue corpse number... I forget. And the generic mage that's always been here the whole time. Chapter 5. Chapter 5 contains the deaths of both Rick and Maribel. Now, we did need to be careful about positioning, since not only could Rickon fight back, but he also dealt effective damage to the flyers. Donald has his Undyne moment where he's brought to the brink, but something inside him just refuses to die. But once they're all gone, the enemies get fed down the Donald pipeline to get him stronger. Post-chapter, we manage to lucky spawn another Anna and purchase a Seraph robe and some tonics for our lucky farmhand. And before we take on the next chapter, we make a small detour. Paralog, the secret cellar. So in our first Anna map, we have a village we have to save that, let's be real, is an actual challenge now thanks to our low deployment limit. If we want the rewards, we have to pray for Anna's survival while we rush over there with our woman. Surprisingly, we actually made it to the village and saved Anna for the physics staff. No one can use it, but hey, it's a thought that counts, right? Anyway, the boss is super scary for our little villager, so Crom and his stalker have to take care of him before Donald can step into fight. And while it seems like we can move on to the next chapter, Anna decides to pop up again after the paralog, selling not only a speedwing, but also another second seal. Now we had a spare one for Donald when he reaches level 15. So going full yandere, that girl over there converts to Pegasus Knight to help Crom forget about what might have been with Sumia. Oh, also she marries Crom. Chapter 6. Marth finally returns, and oh my god, Marth has long hair and doesn't have her mask, and is also a woman. That's not Marth. Oh. Yeah, so Lasuna of the Fire Emblem has finally arrived as the party is ambushed by the evil cult people. By the way, this is the chapter where a lot of people are gonna die. Donald has to protect the right side while Crom and his obsessed wife have to run around like jackasses on the left and middle fronts. Gaius dies believing he had a purpose to the army, while Pan dies with the rest of her inferior species. But just as we made it to the end of the chapter, we suffer a reset when we leave an opening to Emmeryn unchecked. On attempt 2, we leave Frederick to wait outside Emmeryn's room, while Donald, Crom, and his psychopathic woman help protect Lasuna, Donald, and the door. When Lasuna inevitably dies, we prepare Frederick and Pan to die defending the locked door. But the thief must have rerouted himself when the Frederick moved. With this one change, Pan and Frederick survived and we cleared the map with relative ease. To avoid becoming a pincushion from Crom's spouse, Lasuna leaves the party at the chapter's close. Another Anna pops up, and guys, you aren't gonna like this. She's selling another second seal. And after selling off all our magic, we scoop it up and make our way to the next chapter. Chapter 7. Guiding Emmeryn to a safe haven, we get led into a trap that forces us to act. While the Wyverns go down thanks to an S-support and a flying falchion, the ground forces have to fight off against a Donald that goes mercenary mid-map. Cordelia flies, Cordelia dies. Pan tries, Pan dies. Frederick survives, Frederick dies. Honestly and truly, it's just Crom, his insane wife, and their contracted poor person now. Emmeryn gives Crom the Fire Emblem and immediately gets kidnapped by Gangrel, which means it's time to fly down to the desert. But before that, real quick, we do a skirmish to pump up the lovesick companion that Crom married. Chapter 8. Now, a pro to doing this map with a powerful flyer is that we can quickly strip Gregor and the Lolly of their inventories and send them to the gallows. Donald can't do much this map because of the ugly sand particles. They're rough, coarse, and they just get everywhere. But he can still grab the nearby village, that won't piss him off. So Donald and the Queen run around collecting loot, finally allowing Her Royal Highness to become the world's most busted class in Awakening. As the Queen slaughters the last of her husband's enemies, we get a strength drop and move to save Emmeryn. Chapter 9. Unfortunately again, this chapter, Donald is not the most useful unit. Him being footlocked means he'll be trudging through the desert sands, while Crom and his ride fly over the rough terrain. Since Crom capped out last chapter, his freight train of a partner swoops around and begins destroying everything in her path to get to level 15. If we're lucky, we could hit it before reaching Gangrel. getting us a lock touch user with Gale Force on a map with 2 random ass chests in the fields. As the map comes to a close, Chrom tries to save his sister from using the ground as a trampoline. However, Chrom fails and Emran sadly lives to see another day. Remember, this is Awakening, no one really dies, they just can't fall here. At least not until they join the army. Then the girl over there ensures that they die, just to keep Chrom from looking at anyone else. Paralogue. A strangled piece. Now that the woman is a dark flyer, I figure now is the time to do this paralogue. That, and I want the EXP. We get a Seraph Robe if we can save at least one villager, and since we can now access 2 range and ignore mountain terrain, we should be able to keep at least 2 alive, right? Well, I made a mistake, and because green units are green units, I could not recover from said mistake. I love dumb AI making my life infinitely worse. Routing the map from here is pretty simple enough. Our Lady on Pegasus back takes care of a majority of our threats, but we still aren't done. We challenge the 4 skirmish maps that pop up with our royal duo, and take on an additional 2 more with reeking boxes we buy at the mart. And with a final push, we get that Gale Force. Chapter 10. This map has a bunch of thieves carrying some quality goods, so this chapter we hunt after them like a pack of wolves. More specifically, 2 really power-hungry wolves. I think it takes a total of 2 turns before all the thieves are taken care of and accounted for. But once that's done, we change into the thief line for lock touch, and with a map thriving with enemies and reinforcements, our killer in pink moves out to farm, kills, and kill Mufasa. Don't you mean Mustafa? Does it look like I care? Donald promotes this chapter as well, so do you really think I care about the crybaby general? Bro, the dude stopped fighting you 5 minutes ago! Wah, cry about it. Paralogue. Anna the Merchant. This chapter is more about racing to kill thieves than it is about the chapter character. Anna can take care of herself, and if she doesn't, it's more EXP for Donald. Chrom's love interest is too busy pilfering the goods to really care about the EXP this map. That is, until Anna opens a door. I don't need her luring the boss too early and miss out on some additional treasure. Chrom then recruits, and we strip her inventory, letting her die the next turn later or so on. Once all the treasure is deposited into my bank account, we have Donald and his mistress clear out the remaining foes. Once we finish the chapter, the queen decides to celebrate her birthday. That's right, I abused the birthday system to give our army the best possible benefits. Bite me. But unfortunately, nobody remembered her birthday. Not even the beloved Chrom. But let's be real, she'll forgive him later. She'll never stay mad at her true love. Chapter 11. This is it. The final battle. Now let's kill that dastard and be done with it. You know, the Mad King Gangrel, and with the power of Thieves' Tools and Gale Force, no thief will steal any of the treasure. Donald goes left, Chrom and the woman go right, Olivia never makes it to see the battlefield because she dies off screen to a green screen car crash. You know, I'll never complain about extra EXP in these runs, but similar to Binding Blade, this should have been a kill boss map. I thought the whole point of the climax was that Plagia didn't want to fight after Emran's sacrifice. Gangrel was just keeping it up because he's a Mad King, right? Also, I like that both Mad Kings don't stand around and actually pursue foes in their range. Whatever, I'll just assume that it isn't a route map because Chrom's wife is a tyrant. But speak of the devil, Chrom officially becomes king and has 2 beautiful children with his devil woman. One she named Morgan for no reason in particular, and the other named Lucina, just to spite Lasuna for thinking she could be with her man. Chapter 12. Another new character joins the roster, who is immediately thrown into the trash bag when an enemy paladin and his platoon arrive. Apparently, our final battle wasn't really the final battle, big sag, but this next one is surely the last battle, right? A dictator from across the sea is threatening Chrom into submission, and the only one who makes Chrom bend the knee is Lucina's mother. So with new enemies, Chrom charges headfirst into the dock to fight off the incoming cavalry. Morgan's mom promotes, and as fitting as it would be to put her in assassin, we instead go trickster. gunning for the acrobat skills since the flying classes don't really offer much in terms of skills. Chrom promotes after the battle when the shop finally opens up. And now, with Chrom's promotion, we are 2 units away from never needing a Master Seal again. Chapter 13. After learning that Valadar survived, we get ambushed by Risen. On top of that, we get Henry, who we kill off this chapter. While we could have easily defeated the boss and end the chapter quickly, I want to get some extra levels on Chrom and Donal. The Blood Queen over there has been getting a lot of EXP lately, and Chrom only just promoted. I don't think Donal is even that far into hero. But hey, at least he's rocking out with such a great luck and arms thrift. After routing the map, we're about to leave, but another Risen suddenly spawns. I would say Chrom is in danger, but let's be real, even with a crit, Chrom's fine. But Lasuna returns and saves Chrom regardless. It's also here that Lasuna reveals that she's actually Lucina, Chrom's daughter! I would say what a twist, but again, let's be real, Awakening came out 12 years ago. Wait, 12 years? Thoughts for later. Anyway, every modern Fire Emblem fan knows that Lucina is Chrom's child and that Edelgard is the Flame Emperor. But this instantly changes our bloodthirsty queen's opinion on Lucina and welcomes her home to be protected by her love. Yeah, so I just realized I'm writing Robin like Camilla. Paralogue. Disowned by time. Lucina instant promotes so we can get her Aether quickly, and we receive Morgan, thus giving us our 5 units proper. And if I'm writing that girl like a lovesick psychopath who loves Chrom, then Morgan is the flip where he's an overprotective brother who would still kill anybody to protect Lucina. Yep, that is the joke here and I'm sticking with it. But as for the chapter itself, it's not actually that hard because of how our units have snowballed to this point. And because we have 3 different Gale Force users, we just don't have anything to worry about anymore. There is nothing in Awakening that poses a threat to us anymore. So really now was all about just building skills and getting ready for Grima. We still have roughly 13 chapters, but it really doesn't matter anymore. Chapter 14. It's time for a high seas adventure as we travel to the neighboring continent of Valm and immediately get blockaded. This chapter is incredibly piss easy. We use this chapter to train Morgan and Lucina up as newbies. The funny thing is, we don't even need a healer anymore. Enemies do too few damage to the team and all our allies have some form of healing factor. Donal has Soul, Chrom and Lucina have Aether, and Morgan and his mom can survive plenty with the occasional Vulnerary. Like, the only way we can train staff rank is by having the queen use rescue. It's insane. By the time the chapter comes to a close, our bloodthirsty protagonist decides to continue her destruction by lighting the sea on fire. Why? Well, there was some boat stopping her husband's quest to Valm. The real reason is because she needed to punish the ocean for getting Chrom wet. Chapter 15. In this chapter, Sayri is locked in the corner playing Dodge the Spear, and it's our job to save her. So you know, how cruel would it be if we didn't do that? Instead, we just sit there and watch until she can't dodge anymore and gets impaled over and over again. We visit some villages for goods, stab the boss, feed some kills to Donal, and clear the map. Somehow, Sayri didn't die, but we don't care as we continue our conquest of Valm's natural resources. Chapter 16. We make it to the infamous tree map of Awakening, known for its hallway-like design and a man with some impressive facial hair. Do you think there's another mustache under there? Like the man grows mustaches from underneath his mustache to raise them as pets? God damn, that facial hair would put most others to shame.
You don't have to be gay to appreciate a man's beauty.
Nah, bro, I'd fuck you.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, what about the chapter? I literally don't have anything else to say. There is no strategy here. Chrom goes from Lord to horseback despite his wife's protest, and it is now canon that Chrom rides a different horse into battle every time he enters a chapter. This is because the queen gets jealous of the attention the horse gets. When the chapter finishes, we meet Tiki. But aren't you from Arcanea? What are you doing here in Valentia? Doesn't matter, we just build the Fire Emblem and move out. Chapter 17. This chapter I vaguely remember because it was the map where Sayri was betrayed by her allies, but the details are hazy, much like the Vol mark on its own. I would say I yawned loudly, but that's more trouble and uses more brain power than I actually used in this map. We get 2 of our 3 Gale Force users paired up for 3 actions in a turn, with high mobility. Crom waddles around with Morgan for a bit, and Donald solos his area like a god among men. I can't even think of anything witty or funny to say. I don't know. Hey, maybe Basilo could give me something to talk about.
You gotta be kidding me. Effort.
Yeah, never mind. We do staff level grinding while doing some skirmishes and move on to the next map. Chapter 18. We enter a fucking volcano to get away from our forces, and the only reason that we don't get burned alive is because the pink menace threatens to murder the volcano if it so much as burns Crom's perfect skin. Morgan and Lucina are today's dynamic duo to fly across the map at breakneck speeds. Donald continues to not die despite a mage threatening to curb stomp him into the lava. And I believe we miss out on one chest because we don't move fast enough. When we approach Yanfei, we do more staff grinding before sending the poor peasant boy Donald to defeat the Swordmaster. Chapter 19. AKA Walhart, Part 1. Walhart wields Soul, the weapon, not the skill, and it's virtually useless in his hands, since we're too strong to be stopped by his army. It's really like that one meme. Who wins? A man who has conquered nations and guides an army the size of a nation. Or 5 units holding a bronze weapon. I could just spam the baby sound clip of "You won't die," just to really sink in the message that nothing can stop the monstrous royal family and their unkillable servant. Chapter 20. This is it. The final battle. Now let's kill that dastard and be done with it. For real this time. Once we kill Walhart, we can all go home. Crom learned to be better from Gangrel, and now compassion from Walhart. Sure, this segment has been slow and awfully tiring, but there's no reason that this shouldn't be the final battle, yeah? So while Crom and his terrorist of a wife go off to loot the treasure rooms, Lucina, Morgan, and Donald take care of every possible foe that chooses to go against us. Walhart's forces literally cannot do anything to our 5 units and only exist to be chump change to be harvested across the coals. It's not even fun to bring up what's going on, since again, there's just no strategy to this. No true challenge to overcome, just mindless killing. Lucina ends up popping Astra, and with many tiny hits, we defeat Walhart with a mindless swipe of the Parallel Falchion. Paralogue. The Threat of Silence. Okay, so this is a battle that should just be a throwaway, right? I mean, we have to rout the enemy regardless of what happens to the dragon, right? No. Like I said before, I just don't have the heart to kill Tiki, man. Regardless of how long it's been and how she should have learned to avoid humans after the Marth era. So instead, we have a chapter we can actually talk about. One that isn't about brute forcing our way through the map, but is about using our current tools to save the Dragon Woman from the Risen. And this chapter actually got me to use my head. I had to actually think as I went around killing the monsters. I even had to reset when I made a terrible opening play. So instead of playing offensively, we played defensively. If I had to summarize how we played this map, it would be... We use our Gale Force mother-daughter duo to take out any flyer with a ranged weapon, leaving Crom, Morgan, and our super soldier Donald to protect Tiki from all fronts. And after a close battle, we managed to save Tiki and protect her. Oh, but now I gotta try and justify in story. So Crom's wife feels a certain draw to Tiki. Not in a love way, but more in a family kind of way. So rather than give her human rights, she becomes the unofficial mascot of the army. Bam, okay, we got it, lock it in. Let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 21. Okay, I can't be the only one who saw this on the world map and thought it was just a weird stone structure and not a skull. Like, I know it's supposed to be a Grima skull now, but you can't tell me that I'm wrong for thinking this just looks like a rock or some kind of hill. Anyway, the main gimmick of this chapter is just killing the boss and escaping. However, there are just a bunch of enemies that try to halt your progress and loot to be obtained along the way. But it's easy to see that we can clear this map with little issues. What with our majority of Gale Force users, Chrom being a Cavalier, and Donald having surprisingly good move for a warrior. But to me, the memorable part about this chapter isn't the map itself, but what comes after. Listen, hate Awakening's writing and characterization all you want, but Lucina's moment with Robin really hits the part of my brain that loves time travel narratives. And it's only made worse if you decide to make Lucina marry Robin or be Lucina's mother. By rejecting, Robin refuses to fight those they love, but I feel like accepting shows a side of Robin that I just love. If you're married to Lucina, Robin tells her that he only wants her happiness and wants her to find someone else after he's gone, showing more concern for Lucina's feelings than his own. But in this case with female Robin, it feels more like acceptance. She trusts Lucina and lets her know it's okay and that she will always love her even in death. And when Lucina can't do it, Robin isn't judging her. She immediately moves to comforting her, letting her know it's alright. It makes Chrom's words hit more close to home afterwards, and it just makes me love shit like this. I don't care how bad it might be or whatever dumb thing people have to say about it, this is genuinely my favorite scene in Awakening. Chapter 22. Okay, it's time to stop Valadar one last time. This means we have one foe stopping us. Aversa. And if she and Chrom's wife truly are related, they're not, but still, they both have one thing in common, and that is they are both extremely loyal to their men. The only difference is that Aversa is on the wrong side of history, and Tiga is much more sadistic. This map is a reference to Genealogy of the Holy War, with its dead lords holding iconic but extremely nerfed holy weapons. Honestly, I wish that they were just the normal holy weapons. Could have made some interesting parallels in the scripting phase, but whatever. Chapter 23. Okay, sorry to take Chrom's line, but this is it! Now let's kill this dastard and be done with it. I swear to God, this better be it. Now, as simple as it would be to just kill Valadar and reunite Chrom and his Hellhound with their family, and Stepping Stool, I think it would be significantly funnier to just clear out all our foes, then have Chrom and his demon kill Valadar. Lucina freaks out, but Basilio is alive, and despite the woman not being able to use magic, she still managed to hold back against Chrom. And literally next turn, we kill Valadar with Lucina and Morgan. Now the game should be over, but suddenly we come across a copy of our girl. Alright, let's lore this out. In a previous timeline, Chrom revealed that he wanted to be friends to that girl over there, before the Battle of Valadar. Because we have thoroughly established that she is a yandere, she kills Chrom and becomes god of the new world. And if she can't have him, then no one else can. Even if that means killing herself to be with him. And our girl over there is just like, fair and based opinion. Chapter 24.
He said it! He said it!
We finally decide to power up the falchion for Chrom to go against the parallel version of his psychotic wife. This chapter is so filler, it's infuriating. Especially when reinforcements won't stop coming from everywhere. Just when you think you're about to finish, no! 3 more guys! 3 more guys! It's so fucking annoying and I hate it. At least Flavia and Basilio fall but cannot die here. Chapter 25. Nah, actually, this is the most filler map of all filler maps. I understand we need to get to Grima, but why couldn't this just be an arrive or escape? Aversa doesn't need to be here, especially when she doesn't die here. Because remember, this is Awakening, and nobody, I mean nobody, dies in Awakening. Not Aversa, not Gangrel, not Yenfei, not even Walhart. Because we have Acrobat on the girl and her son, we could theoretically clear the map easily. But that means leaving Donald behind, and I'm greedy for that extra experience. But that brings us to the most anime thing Fire Emblem has ever done. At least by the time this came out. Endgame. Grima. I'm not saying it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times? You're an asshole, and you won't see a 4th. We spend more time forging weapons since we have an abundance of gold. Forging Donald an Alm Blade to give him a falchion. Forging the Grima wannabe an unrecognizable brave sword. And Morgan a Hector's axe named after his inheritance to the royal family. As we prepare for our final chapter, we do a quick look at our army. Chrom, the naive lord who grew up and married the literal demon dragon. The woman, the one who married Chrom even if it was through baby trapping him. Donald, the peasant who became a stepping stool for the royal family. Lucina, the daughter of a demon dragon who could have stopped this if she didn't have a heart. Morgan, a carbon copy of his mom, but doing it for his sister instead. Tiki, the mascot who witnessed repeated horrors for a 3rd time now. And let's finally dive into the final chapter. Actually, this chapter isn't even all that long, all things considered. Like, all the preparation took longer than the actual fight. It took us 2 turns to clear this map. Donald weakens Grima down with the ultimate Omega Super Kami Guru Falchion. Then the original slays her copy using the Nameless Blade, killing herself to save the 5 people left alive. Meaning we truly finish with 5 units. All joking aside, Awakening is way too boring in the late game with 5 units. Early game gives you a challenge since everyone is on baby mode, but the second a Master Seal or a Second Seal comes to play, it's over. Now, despite what I showed you, I did complete another 5 units run with legitimately 5 units. The only reason Kellum was here was because, you know, it was funny. But even with a new run where I used male Robin over female Robin, we actually had an easier final boss. One round in Grima with Morgan on the first turn. And with this out of the way, we go into Fates, and where we start, you'll have to wait and see. But let me know in the comments which route you're excited for, and watch me be unsurprised if it's Conquest. And while you're down there, leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps idiots like me who suck at promoting videos. But until next time, stay safe out there.